On this video, I'm going to continue what I started, and that is in Psalm 19, looking at the Hebrew text, the Septuagint text, and the Latin, uh, reading it, and then doing some grammatical analysis of the text. We began now, we've worked our way up to verse 4 in Psalm 19, where this beautiful psalm, the psalmist talks about how the heavens are declaring the glory of God and the work of his hands, the expanse, is declaring or setting forth. And then we talked about how day to day, verse 3, literally pours forth speech, and night to night shows or reveals knowledge. We talked about those verses and we added a commentary along with the grammar. Now I'm at verse 4, and the Hebrew reads as follows: Ein Omer ve'ein devarim beli nishma kolam. That is, there is no speech and there are no words, neither is their voice heard. Vocabulary wise, amar or ayin is a negative particle meaning no. Uh, Omer is a noun meaning speech. Davar, a noun meaning word. Beli is a particle meaning neither or nor. Shama is the verb to hear, and kol means sound or voice. So ein omer ve'ein devarim. Ein is simply a negative particle. There is no. Omer means speech. So there is no speech. Ve'ein devarim, and there are no words. Devarim is the masculine plural form from davar. Beli nishma. Neither is heard kolam, their voice. Beli is translated either nor neither, and nishma is the nifal perfect, third masculine singular from shema. Notice the in prefix here, with the followed by the a vowel, the I a vowel pattern, identifies this as a nifal, perfect, third masculine singular. And so neither is their voice heard. When we look at the application or interpretation, as the writer is looking at creation, notice what he says about it, that there is no speech and there are no words, and yet their sound, even though it's not heard, we'll see, is speaking. They have no speaking voice, and yet they continue to give knowledge by what they declare without speaking. So again, the creation of God is God's way of communicating to all without any audible voice or sound his glory and his greatness. As we look at the Septuagint rendering of this text in 19, uh, it reads in 19 verse 4, uh, Ace pasan tain gain, exeothen, ha thagmas, auton. kai ace, ta perata tes oi kumenes ta remata auton. Let me just talk about that verse in the from the Septuagint. So notice the text in the Septuagint reads, there are no speeches and there are no words. Uk esin laleai udelagoi on hon uhi akuantai kai phonai auton. There are no speeches and no there are no speeches uh, in which their voices are not heard. Interesting, the Septuagint reads, there are no lalei, uh, neither are there words, there are no speeches or words in which their voices are not heard. And hon uchi akuantai hoi phonai auton. Akuantai is your present indicative uh, passive where their voices are not being heard. So there are no speeches and there are no words in which their voices are not heard or are not uh, being heard. And as we look just briefly here at the Latin rendition, the Vulgate, it reads, uh, non sunt laquellae, that is, there are no uh, speaking or voices, and then nequa sermonas, nor words, quorum nun adiantur voces um, eorum, that is, where their voices are not being heard. Pretty, pretty literal translation. No quelli, there are no words, neither or not voice or words, where their voices are not being heard. So let's move on to the Hebrew again, back to the next verse, which would be verse 5 in my Hebrew reading. Behol ha'aretz yatsa kavam uviksei tevel milehem la shemesh sam ohel bahem. Notice here, in all the earth, their line has gone forth, and to the end of the inhabited earth, of the world, their words. For the sun, he has placed a tent in them. Yatsa is the verb to go out, and kab is a measuring line. Katsech means end, it's a noun. Tevel is a noun meaning world. Milah is a noun meaning word or speech. Shemesh, a noun meaning sun. Sim, the verb to place or sit. And ohel is a noun that means tent. So behol ha'aretz, in all the earth. Notice be here is your preposition, and hol is your adjective meaning all. So in all of the earth, or the totality of the earth, ha'aretz, ha is the definite article, and aretz means earth. So in all the earth, Yatsa Kavam, their line has gone forth. Yatsa is a simple cow perfect third masculine singular from the root Yatsa. It's a pei yod root and a lamed aleph verb meaning to go out. And kavam is a noun meaning line from kav, followed by the pronominal suffix third masculine plural in the am. So the word looks at the measuring line. And so the measuring line that determines how far the heavenly bodies can go worldwide. Uvikse tevel milehem, and unto the end of the earth their words. Uvikse, that is your inseparable preposition following the u, the conjunction. And ketsech, it means, it reads unto the end of the world, their words. So ketzach means end, and it's in construct unto the end of the tevel, with tevel meaning world. Unto the end of the world, milehim, their words. Milehim is from, it means word, from milah. And notice here we have the word is in its plural form, mile, followed by the pronominal suffix third plural, masculine plural in the am. And then la shemesh sam ohel bahem. For the sun, he places a tent in them, that is in the heavens. La shemesh, again we have the lamed, the inseparable preposition for. This is then followed by the noun shemesh, meaning for the sun. Sam ohel, he places a tent for the sun. Sam is the cow perfect third person singular from sim, the middle weak verb, the hirik yod, and it's a biconsonantal verb. And so here, the sun, he has placed, or for the sun, he has placed a tent, which is the heavens become the tent. And ohel is the noun meaning tent. He has placed a tent by him in them. By him would be your inseparable preposition, the bait, and him is your pronominal suffix third masculine plural. So, translating it again, in all the earth has gone forth their line, and into the end of the world their words. And then for the sun, he has placed a tent in them. That is, the sun is like provided for. I mean, it doesn't do anything, but he places that has a tent for the sun. So the sun, as it were, is provided for by this tent. The heavens, therefore, become like a tent that the sun dwells in. Here is a personification, by the way, of sun, and this would have great meaning in the ancient Near East because the sun was the object of worship. This is especially seen in your Akkadian hymns of worship to Shamshu, which is often sung, which is the sun god, and then also Re in Egypt. So the name Re refers to the sun god in Egyptian worship. But here, what the Lord is teaching in this psalm is that the sun is simply part of his creation, personified here as one which he provides for by having a house for it to live in, so to speak. And so simply the heavens he has created for the sun to have a living place, have a home. So the psalmist is teaching us to keep our eyes on the Lord who made all of this possible, who created the heavens as a tent for the sun. So don't worship the sun. Don't worship as Shamshu or Re, I think is taught here, but worship the Creator, which is the Lord Himself. So this is a very beautiful song teaching, I believe, this truth. Then as we go to the Septuagint, it reads, unto all the earth, eis pasan tain gain exalten, unto all the earth has gone forth, ha phthagas auton, has gone forth their utterance, or their words, unto all the earth, and unto the ends of the inhabited earth, unto their ends, kai esta perata tes oikumenes. So to the end of the world, so to speak, has their words has gone forth. And in the Son, into helio ethete ta skenoma auto. That is, in the Son, he has placed his tabernacle, which reads a little bit differently than the Hebrew, where he places the sun in the, can I say, the heavens as a place for the sun to live. And this, the Septuagint seems to read that in the Son he placed his tabernacle, that is, God has. And let me just read Latin for just a second here. In the Latin of that particular verse, in all the earth their sound has gone forth, and omnem terram exivit sonusorum, their sound has gone forth, et in fines orbis terrae verba eorum, and unto the ends of the world their works. And then in sole posuet tabernaculum suum, that is, and in the Son he placed his tabernacle. So the Latin is following the Septuagint here in this reading, and he himself, ipse, I'll read this and then we'll come back to it, but he himself, as a bridegroom, procedens de thalamo suo, that is, goes forth or proceeds from his chamber. So going back then to the Hebrew text here, what I think is very different in the Hebrew is that the Hebrew text is saying the heavens become the tent for the sun, where the Septuagint seems to read that he placed his tent in the sun. So there is a difference there in the two readings, that is, the Hebrew, the Masoretic text, and the Septuagint, at least as I'm trying to read it. I personally follow the Hebrew text, the Masoretic text, in my work as I read through the Old Testament, rather than the Septuagint, but I think it's helpful just to read the Septuagint and do a comparison. And I'm just doing the Latin to help improve my Latin. So bear with me on that. But basically, the Latin came later, of course, with Jerome. So the main text that I want to look at would be the Hebrew, of course, and then the Septuagint which seems to go its own way, at least in my reading of it. And so that instead of placing his tent in the sun, the Hebrew reads that he placed the sun in the uh, in the heavens as a tent to dwell in, and that seems to be what the Hebrew is getting at, where it reads La Shemesh Sam Ohel Bahem. That is, for the sun, he placed a tent in them by him, referring to the heavens themselves, in which he placed a tent for the sun. So I'm going to stop there. It's a beautiful psalm setting forth the greatness of God's creation and encouraging the worship of Yahweh as the creator rather than Shamshu or Re rather than the sun, God. So may God bless his word.